Well, we're finally here at the beautiful Menindee Lakes. We got here in the end.
And not a single thing went wrong.
I don't know about that.
Not a single thing went wrong.
Yeah, not a single thing, but
We've just done 1,600 kilometers in nearly 40-degree temperatures every single day for the last 5 days.
Yep.
Towing that awesome camper trailer, the MT1.
I might just add some of the roughest corrugated roads, as I'm sure you're about to see.
Yeah.
But handled it well. D-Max did great. And we are finally here at one of the best campsites I've come across, especially in New South Wales. This is right in our backyard when you really think about it.
Yeah, you'd think we were in Tiwa Beach or Tahiti perhaps. Couple of beers on the beach, beautiful. However, this is Outback New South Wales like you've never seen it before, in flood. Seriously exciting stuff, guys. Make sure you watch along on this video and see Mitch get stuck on the beach.
No, you got us bogged.
I don't
Let's
think
go
I
have a
got
beer
bogged.
and we can argue about this later.
Mitch and I are super keen to get on the road for this trip, so we've hitched up the MT1. First stop, Dubbo.
How good's this? We've stacked the fridge absolutely full, as well as the pantry in the trailer. So we've fueled up in Dubbo, got enough groceries to last us the entire trip. We're back out on the road before we finally hit dirt for the first time after 700 Ks. So the cool thing about this patch of dirt is this is the actual farm that I used to work on about 5 or 6 years ago as a jackaroo. This is 22,000 acres of absolute fun. We're talking bog holes everywhere, quicksand, black soil, you name it, this place has it all. We've got the entire place to ourselves for the night, so we're driving around to pick out the perfect campsite.
This is the first real test we've given the MT1 on this trip, and we're happy to report no dust has got in any of the seals. Now, I'm in the Big Daddy Deluxe for this trip. We did flip a coin, which I won, but Mitch is about 8 inches taller than me and he knows jiu-jitsu, so he's in the penthouse suite.
Yeah, righto, mate. But in all seriousness, I was heavily involved in the research and development process of the Grand Tourer Mark III, but at the end of the day, this is just another opportunity for me to do some further testing.
Now guys, if it was up to you, what would you prefer? The swag or the rooftop tent? Let us know in the comments below. Where a camper trailer really comes into its own is the fact that you can set it up as a base camp. That gave Mitch and I the opportunity to go for a drive around the farm and left Dean to set up his campsite and log some of the footage.
One of the things I seriously miss about this place is those beautiful golden hour sunsets that you just don't get in Sydney. I know it's going to be a big day tomorrow, so we're having a quick feed, a couple of beers before we hit the hay.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
Real nice.
How'd you like the sunset last night?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Camping on this clay pan was pretty special.
Oh yeah.
Big sky.
Yep. Dean made the mistake of leaving half his window down.
Oh no.
Top 10. And he's the worst person for Mozzie bites
I
as
was
it is.
swarming in.
Oh yeah. He got absolutely eaten alive last night. I was fine though.
Yeah, I was fine.
They were all trying to get in.
Oh, you can hear them. It
Yeah.
sounded like a swarm of bees or
yeah.
something.
It was still nerve wracking.
Yeah. So we're heading off to this little dam to check that out first.
Yep. I'm going to try and get you bogged too. Because I'm pretty sure the water would have come up a little bit.
Yeah,
since
okay.
last night.
Yeah. Well, the river's supposed to peak today, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Before we leave the farm, we were all keen to see the Bourke River and how high the water had risen.
Now this is hardly what I would call a river crossing, but somehow Cahn still managed to get himself stuck.
We are under strict directions on this trip to give the MT1 a workout, so I was just testing it out.
Now to everyone watching, this area might look like a permanent swamp, but to be completely honest, the last time I was out here, it was bone dry with no greenery anywhere. And it's pretty crazy considering the Bogan River is still about 1 kilometre away, and the dam you're seeing here is normally bone dry with nothing but red dust.
Now this time I'll put a bit more right foot.
Yeah, keep your foot down a little bit. In the mud, don't be scared.
Well, the trailer's got mud tyres.
Oh, that's why. That's how you're gonna have to fang it through here, I think. There is a bit of a ditch, so go, 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 go.
I really appreciated Mitch's advice here, even though 5 minutes earlier he just told me he wanted to get me bogged.
As much as we don't want to leave the farm, we do have to make tracks. There's still so much for us to see on this trip.
.81.
The problem with modern vehicles, you can't just know what's going on.
Have it inspected or serviced at the nearest Isuzu dealer as soon as possible.
We're probably 600 k's from the nearest Isuzu dealer.
Throughout the trip, Mitch and I have been switching from tool drive to four drive on the fly as we come on and off the dirt. Seconds ago when I tried to do it, it wouldn't shift and we got a whole bunch of error lights. So basically we're not getting drive to the front diff at this point. I hope it's just a sensor, because otherwise it's a bit sketchy when we're this far out in the sticks.
Just can't drive, of course.
And as it turns out, sometimes it's just a matter of turning it off and turning it back on again. Best place for an error code to come up? No. I don't think it was my driving, it was probably just dust.
I'm spewing I didn't get you bogged though.
You can't get me bogged, mate. Even the car won't go into full drive and get bogged. I was just saying to Mitch, valued viewers, that it's really nice to see him giving this driving thing a go. He could have easily avoided some ruts there, but chose to drive directly into them and then panicked.
We're doing a test on the trailer, are we not?
We are.
And they told me to flog it.
It's doing very well.
Exactly.
Yeah, driving into ruts at 90 k's an hour it's a good test.
They weren't ruts. They were mere divots in the road.
Mere.
Before we know it, we're back on the blacktop and coming into Bourke. But before we stop in town, I want to show the boys a spot I know called Maze Bend. But as it turns out, the access road has turned to slop, so we've got to get through there first.
Pulling up at Maze Bend was our first close-up look at the Darling River, and I was starting to get a little bit concerned. I planned most of this trip and I knew that some of the tracks coming up might be closed if the river's too high.
Ordinarily, Maze Bend offers some unreal camping, fishing, boating, kayaking and much more. But since most of the campsites are actually completely underwater, we're just gonna have a quick dip to cool off on this stinking hot day.
Campsite would be down there, kind of that way a little bit, maybe even closer towards those trees, but the recent floodwaters brought the bank right up, so taking advantage of it.
Oh, and the best part about this campsite is it's absolutely free to the public. Just make sure you clean up after yourselves, be respectful of your fellow campers, and of course, put your fires out before you leave.
This is 100% plant-based. Organic.
Now I can't stand having dirty feet going back into my boots on a long drive, so I'm taking full advantage of the MT1's built-in water tank and washing off. How's that for luxury at camp? The water's coming up a bit, mate. We better be careful here. Window's down, by the way.
Oh yeah, crap. Oh, that was close.
millimeters in it. Originally, we had planned to stay at Mays Bend, but with the river rising, we had to call in some local experts to find another campsite.
That local knowledge just so happens to be my sister and my brother-in-law. They're taking us to the top of the very best campsite out here, and that is of course Mount OXLEY. They're super keen to see how the MT1 tows on the back of the big V8 Y62, so we're chucking on the back of their rig before we head up the mountain. Mount OXLEY literally has the very best views out here. Nothing even comes close, and I'd put this on my top 3 favourite and most spectacular campsites in New South Wales. It's a photographer's dream, and as you're about to see, the sunsets up here are to die for. Mount OXLEY is on private property, but you can camp up the top. Just stop into the local information centre in Bourke and they can give you all the information you need and the pricing.
Now, they weren't kidding. This campsite is spectacular. And while the sun started to dip, I can't help myself but show them through the 12-volt setup in the trailer, because I reckon that's a pretty good sight as well.
With everyone's ears well and truly chewed off by Cahn's 12-volt guru-ness, it's time to settle in and watch that amazing sunset.
Another beautiful sunset, another beautiful sunrise. We've conquered Mount OXLEY. So I think now it's time we push down the actual Darling River Run proper. I'm thinking today we'll easily make it past Louth and TILPA. It's just after 8:30, 28 degrees outside.
Oh,
Is it
really?
peak, it is the middle of summer.
True. Ordinarily, you wouldn't be doing a trip like we're doing in summer.
No,
More
this
of a
is
winter
probably
trip.
a winter trip.
But we did miss out on a whole bunch of touring during lockdown this year. So.
Heading south out of Bourke, we were a little bit concerned that some of these tracks might not be open, but so far, so good. The Darling River Run is a bit of a choose your own adventure. You can either take the east or the west track on the river. To change it up a little bit, we're starting on the east side.
The first town we're hitting is Louth. Cahn tells me there's an awesome pub here called Shindy's Inn, so we have to stop in and say g'day. Now the owner of this pub is Kathy, and we're lucky enough that she's given us a personal tour of the entire pub and a bit of a history lesson on Louth. Now Louth was founded way back in 1859 by a man named Thomas Andrew Matthews. He immigrated here from County Louth in Ireland, which explains why the town got its name. He must have been a pretty good bloke because one of the first things he opened up here was a pub. Not this pub specifically, but nonetheless, this right here would have to be up there with one of the coolest pubs I've come across anywhere in Australia. There's so much more to discover out here, so if you're ever in town, stop in and say g'day.
With Louth behind us, we're crossing the Darling River and heading down the western side. Kathy had just told us that the western track was a whole lot more corrugated than the other side at the moment thanks to all the rain. But after all, we are here to test the trailer. Now it doesn't look that tough thanks to how well the suspension is soaking it up, but we have about 100 Ks of this to look forward to.
Being this far out west, you might expect all the scenery to look exactly the same, but as you can see, it's constantly changing from red dirt to greenery everywhere.
Pulling into TILPA, we stopped at the pub for a poke around and then headed up the road to get to our campsite at TILPA WEIR, back on the east side of the river.
Now, I've picked up this awesome lamb roast from the local butcher out in Bourke. He's deboned it for us and he's actually put a nice marinade on it. I think it's herb, garlic and chili, which, oh mate, I cannot wait to get into it. Oh, that smells unreal. TILPA, eh?
What a spot. I haven't caught a fish yet, which is par for the course for our trip.
Yeah, no surprises there.
But that hasn't put a damper on anything.
No.
What have we driven now? I think it's about 1,300 Ks. So it's not huge, but we're averaging still 14.6 litres per 100. That's a bit of low range.
Driving around on the farm.
All drive, like on the dirt road.
Mount OXLEY, the hill up there.
Well, you had the Y62 to help us out there.
True.
The more I use it, because I know you've done a lot of big trips with this thing, but I'm usually just fitting out all the 12 volt before you guys take it.
Yeah.
Like on this trip, the day before, we were still finalising those final little things.
Yep, as usual. Last minute mods.
Lithium batteries in the D-Max.
Yep.
Lithium batteries in the trailer. We haven't had any power issues. We've barely even put the solar panels out.
It's not even, I don't think it's dropped below 13 volt.
13.2.
Pretty good. Fridges are running ice cold as you need them to.
Yeah. 42 degree weather.
Oh my gosh, that was ridiculous. How are the roads coming in here though? Pretty corrugated.
Yeah, well you didn't really notice. I think you fell asleep for about an hour.
I was just looking at the back of my eyelids. Your driving is what put me to sleep.
Yeah, it's just calm and relaxed.
Yeah, a bit too relaxed for my liking. Come on, man.
We've got to get through it. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, it's absolutely unreal. It's so good. Like even today, we stopped on the side of the road, trackside lunch. Literally 30 seconds, you've got access to an entire fridge. The fridge, the pantry, the storage in the back and everything. And honestly, if you were to do a lap around Australia, you'd barely have to set your vehicle up. Maybe slightly heavier duty springs in the back with some good all-terrains and a bull bar. But that is a fully self-contained camp setup. Beautiful thing about it is right now, if you and I wanted to go off exploring, you just leave that here at camp.
And as you said, upgraded suspension. We're not running upgraded suspension in this thing.
It's completely stock. The only thing on this that's been modded, obviously, is the 12 volt aftermarket wheels and tyres and a bull bar. I'm
just pretty jealous I don't get to sleep in that rooftop tent.
I know, you're going to be out here with the creepy crawlies, but there's actually not that many out here compared to the farm.
No, but I tell you, the swag's been going good too. I'm very happy with that Big Day Deluxe. I remember I slept on my fishing rod once.
I wonder how that got there.
We're on the beach, but I was like, oh, must be a rock under me or something. Still had a good night's sleep. Woke up in the morning, rolled up. My fishing rod was under my swag.
Time to confess a little bit.
What's that?
How do you reckon that fishing rod got there? Plus all the other sticks and rocks that you find randomly underneath your swag. Stitch you up quite a few times and put boulders and...
Not about a lot of them, but the fishing rod I honestly thought I'd done that.
I would. I've been very close to putting a goanna in your swag, so... We're in for a good night, I think. We've got an awesome feed going, nice leg of lamb.
The breeze is coming up, it's cooling down a little bit.
It smells amazing, and we are on the Darling River, which is peaked.
7.72 metres today.
Which is pretty crazy.
8 or 9 in the next couple of days, I think.
So we should be pretty sweet.
Right,
I'll be all right. I'm fine. Where are we heading tomorrow?
Tomorrow, We're heading through Wilcannia, we'll get some fuel there, although I don't think we'll even need it, but we'll fill up anyway.
Yep.
And then on to Menindee Lakes.
Oh, yes.
I've been there when it was empty, so I'm very, very keen to see it when it's full.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Catch any fish.
Yeah, I can guarantee you we won't.
Yeah.
We've got all the gear, but no idea where those
I've got
blokes.
some idea, I just don't know where the fish are.
I don't know about that.
They've been washed down river.
Yeah, oh, right, that's right. It's too dirty for them. They can't see the lures, that's why. It's going to be awesome. Cheers. Cahn's going to be busy catching absolutely nothing for the next couple of hours, so I figure I'll kick back, open a couple of beers and enjoy that unreal sunset. It's breathtaking spots like this that make you wonder why more people don't get out west in New South Wales and explore what it has to offer.
I did actually hook a couple of big fish tonight, but I forgot to hit record on the camera, so there's no evidence of that. Plus I figured Mitch was cooking a roast, so I threw him back anyway.
Absolute lies. There you go, you can have the first one. Test dummy. Enjoy. No, you don't need those.
We've got a big day ahead of us today, so we're going to use the Adventure King's 12-volt Adventure Oven for brekkie, lunch and dinner. First things first, we've got a couple of croissants and a couple of hot cross buns, which we're going to chuck in for about 10 minutes, just while we get out of camp here, quickly pull up at the end, have a bite to eat, get on the road. Let's get out of here. I'm keen for brekkie. 15 minutes down the track, we pull up and we've got a brekkie bar set up in seconds. How good is this? Hot meal on the go. Pull up soon and put some pies in the oven. And of course we've got the lithium battery, so it doesn't even notice it. DC-DC charger in the trailer. There's one in the back of the D-Max here, so we haven't been worried about power with 320 amp hours of lithium on board.
Hit the road. Your one didn't quite fit on the top.
Oh, so you just chuck mine on the ground?
Yep, in the grass.
As we continue heading south, we're just being blown away by how green it is. We are seeing such a huge variation in scenery, and it just keeps getting better and better.
And there it is, the beautiful Darling River. You can really see the true size of this thing when you compare it to how small and insignificant we look.
Mitch has just put some pies in the oven, and I'm going to try and convince him that campfire cooking isn't the only way to cook, because we have plans to put a roast in the 12-volt Adventure Oven for this afternoon, so when we turn up to camp it's ready to go.
So if this happens to work, I'll be sold, because
it's so easy.
Exactly,
like, you don't have to do anything, you just leave it in there, we're driving.
Yeah. Especially if you're pulling up to camp late, not like we're going to be getting into camp
camp late today, but
well, it's just nice that we'll be pulling up
yeah,
and it'll be there.
exactly.
So even
rather
if we
than getting to camp, starting the charcoal, getting the Dutch oven ready, throwing the roast in, which is what I love to do anyway. But
well, because I think these lakes are going to be so full and hopefully full of fish. Even if we pull in at 5 or 5:30, it might need another half an hour or something. But with lithium, that's no worries. And then whenever it's ready, we can just carve it up.
How good is that? 100 k's out from Wilcannia, we've got fresh pies baked in the 12-volt oven here. Unreal.
With lunch sorted, we are back on the road, and all of a sudden the scenery is changing again. But there's no time to slow down because there's still heaps of miles ahead of us. But that is the beauty of having this setup. We can pull over, have a quick lunch, and be back on the road in minutes.
Being this far out west, you do need to take advantage of every fuel stop you can. And the funny thing about this spot is the fuel is actually about 10 cents cheaper per litre than it was in Sydney. Go figure.
That handles well though.
Yeah,
it's really good. It handles real well.
yeah.
And really, I'm not joking. This setup is handling this all so well. I'm just having a dig at Mitch here because he can't avoid any mere divot that he sees.
We're soaking up the final long stretch of dirt road before we hit our campsite, and with all the water we've been seeing in the Darling River, we cannot wait to see how full the Menindee Lakes are.
And there's your answer to that question. That's the road we were expecting to take. And I tell you what, how epic is this? There's water as far as we can see.
How beautiful is this? We really want to camp in the national park, but as you can see, the flooding has caused all the campsites around here to be closed. So instead, we're going to head back through town to the Bourke campsite, which just so happens to be a free camp.
Cahn got us bogged. Yeah, somehow it's my fault. Yeah. We'll just make sure we are aware who's driving.
Cahn, you were directing me, so
I said a bit more right foot. I thought I got it on camera.
I did, but then the traction control kicked in.
Traction control. That's what it was.
In my defense, we're still on road pressures because we're so keen to hit the campsite. We didn't even bother airing down, which is why we ended up bogged. So unfortunately for me, we have to whip out the winch.
As reluctant as I am to have to help Mitch get out of this, I'm stuck in the same car as him and I really want to get to camp. So I'm using Dean's Triton as an anchor so that we have something to winch off. This time, so I don't get blamed again for Mitch getting stuck, I'm out of the D-Max and directing from out here.
And what do you know, Cahn's directions are fruitless after all. But in his defense, it's not a bad spot to be bogged.
I don't know if that's sunburn or how embarrassed Mitch is to get stuck a second time, but just look how red he is. Either way, it means we are deflating the tyres properly to get out.
After being bogged twice in only half an hour, I'm starting to get a bit hungry, so I finally pulled the roast out, carved it up so we can sit back and relax. How good is that?
So we made it. About 1,600 Ks of driving over 5 days in temperatures that were close to 40 degrees almost every minute of every day. Mitch and I have towed this MT1 all over Outback New South Wales, and we've ended here at beautiful Lake Pamamaru, just near Menindee Lake.
This is what a good 5 days of pretty easy going driving and about 1,600 Ks of dirt road gets you.
Yeah, so we came out to the Bourke campground out here and we're already blown away. This is magic. To see it this full, not a lot of people get to see this lake or these series of lakes this full. So to be sitting here having hot dinner, cold beer, good company.
I wouldn't say that, but...
I was talking about me.
Oh, okay, fair enough. The thing has been towing incredibly. It's just, one, you barely notice it's there. Fuel economy was actually way better than we expected, considering it's fully loaded and the D-Max is fully loaded with a kayak on the roof. We've got the Grand Tourer up top with a solar panel and a set of crossbars, but it's actually blown me away. I mean, the more I use it, the more I love it.
And this isn't a trip that many people would attempt in summer.
No.
Because it is hot temps, but it hasn't even been tough.
No.
It's been great fun. I'd recommend this to anyone. You've got to get out there and see places like this, particularly when they're in flood. This is something very special.
Whole Darling River, everywhere was completely well above the weirs. We didn't see a single weir on this trip, I don't think. They're all underwater.
We also didn't see a single fish, which is par for the course for us.
That's to be expected.
But we had a lot of fun anyway.
Exactly. Cheers, man.
Cheers. Good trip.
And there you go, another epic trip ticked off the bucket list. And it's crazy to think that this was all in New South Wales.
Speaking of epic trips, we want to know where you want to see us take the MT1 next. So make sure you leave a comment, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing.